So I think, Pavanji, we can begin.
Yeah, we'll start now. So good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this online talk series by Dr. Shirin Venkat. I will very briefly introduce her. Of course, many of you know her already. Dr. Shirin is a disciple of Swami Rama, and after his Mahasamadhi, Swami Vedabharati. She has had the good fortune of meeting many enlightened beings. She's a gold medalist from Grant Medical College, Mumbai, and has received several awards for her contribution to women's health. Dr. Shirin is also a great writer. She has authored several books. And that's about it. And I'm now going to request Dr. Shirin to take over. But before that, I will just share with you all that our intention is to now put everybody on mute. The plan for this class is that this being the introductory class, it will be of about 40 to 45 minutes, followed which there will be about 15 minutes for question and answers. At that time, we will unmute all of you. Um, uh, the Bhagavad Gita that Dr. Trini has recommended to, which I have sent to I have sent an SMS to all of you. And of course, some of you who have just registered probably can take a note. We will try to, first of all, introduce you into the WhatsApp group after today's session. And hopefully then we can send you the communication on a regular basis. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Shirin. And over to you. Thank you so much.
Namaste, Om, and welcome. Welcome with all my heart. We always begin any session with 3 minutes of meditation in our tradition. And so I will invite you to sit with your head, neck, and trunk straight, feet firmly planted on the ground, hands resting gently on your thighs, shoulders relaxed, and eyes softly closed. Relax your forehead. Relax your jaw. Relax your shoulders. Relax your entire body. Head to toes and toes to head. Gently guide your awareness to your breath. Navel to nostrils as you exhale. Nostrils to navel as you inhale. As you inhale, you scan. As you exhale, you relax. Relax each and every muscle. Keeping your mind alert and attentive. Aware of your breath. Take a gentle breath in and we will chant Om together 3 times. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Namaste and welcome to the class. First of all, I want to pay homage to my Guru, who is the one who is, we are very fortunate that Pavanji and myself happen to meet, and that too after several years, and we belong to the same tradition. And the yoga ashram that he has built is really a beautiful place near Parli Ganesh, in the middle of between Pune and Mumbai. And I feel that that place has a vibration thanks to the intention, the sankalpa that Pavanji has taken, and the grace of the Guru. So, with just that, I invoke the blessings of Baba and Swami Veda for all of you. It is so strange that I am in Rishikesh this minute, and tomorrow is Mahashivratri. What more auspicious moment than this to begin any communication between us all? I want to also say that here in the ashram, we are doing a havan because we want to do the purnahuti of the mantra that we have chanted through the year. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. We do 4 malas a day only, and it has come to 1.25 lakh from Mahashivratri to Mahashivratri. And the purnahuti is tomorrow. But in that havan, I remembered all those who had registered, and to you I offer all the punya that might come from my attending this havan. I remembered all the dear and near ones, and more importantly, the not so dear and near ones as well, because there is truly no separation. We have this imagination that we are individuals. Now, before I actually go into you'll be surprised, today we are not going to talk about karma yoga at all, but we are going to talk about all that leads to the proper practice of karma yoga. So, as Confucius has said, we have two lives. The second begins when you realize you only have one. So I hope that the second has begun for a lot of you from many years, and that has prompted you to join this class. And how should we then study the Bhagavad Gita? You know, I am discovering this every single day. And who is teaching us? Sri Krishna. So with that attitude, that who, oh my God, who is teaching us? The Lord Himself is teaching us. And therefore, how much attention should we pay? It's not about Shirin. It's about what I have to learn. And therefore, I must be very attentive. Number one. Number two is, if it's the first time you're reading the Bhagavad Gita, it might seem very unfamiliar. So bear with it and read the shlokas as though you are forgetting all other things, as though you are wanting to imbibe it. Then try to take away some take-home messages and practice them. And if all of you would like me to interact later on, we will talk about that. We may be able to give you we may all do a small exercise for the week. So, and then, in the other class that we do, we have debates on topics that seem very controversial or which haven't come home to us. So after this series, we may be able to do such activities as well. So with that, let us now remember and remind ourselves. I think most of you must be familiar with the Mahabharata, and you must be familiar with the fact that Bhagavad Gita has 701 shlokas, and that the Bhagavad Gita is put, that teaching, in the middle of the battlefield. When the two armies are arrayed against each other, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, and Arjuna asks Sri Krishna, who is his Sarathi or charioteer, to take his chariot in the middle of the two armies to visualize, assess who the army is, who is it that is arrayed against him in this battle of dharma over adharma. And strategically, Sri Krishna takes the chariot in front of none other than Drona and Bhishma. Now, what happens to Arjuna is that in these shloka number, I wish that you have this book, but even if you have any other Bhagavad Gita, if you could open chapter 1 and shloka number 28 and 29, you might be able to pay better attention. But otherwise, just listen. And he says, Arjuna says, after having assessed, he finds that all his relatives, his guru, and his grandfather, who he is actually devoted to, is arrayed against him. And what happens to him? Drashtavemam swajanam Krishna yutsum samupasthitam sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushati vepashuscha tushcha sharire me roma harshascha jayate. Arjuna says to Krishna, as I see these kinsmen arrayed for battle, my limbs give way and my mouth is getting parched. Nay, a shiver runs through my body and hair stands on end. So his condition is quite pathetic because he is overpowered by emotion and by attachment. And this happens to us. The battlefield really is within us. We sometimes get extremely confused as to what the right action might be because of the fact that we are attached, one, to the person opposite us, or the event opposite us, or the result of that event that might happen. Now, with this in mind, these symptoms which are being described by Arjuna are the symptoms of sympathetic overactivity. That means a lot of adrenaline and noradrenaline is being secreted, and therefore he is shaking. Vepathuscha. His mouth is dry and his limbs are giving way because he's not able to hold himself both emotionally and physically. So these reactions very rarely, but do sometimes occur in our lifetimes. And therefore, we need to know how one should act and who is it we should go to for advice. And who better than Sri Krishna himself. So, this is the setting of the Arjuna Vishada Yoga. The first chapter is about Arjuna being despondent, dejected, and totally devastated at what he is entering. And on top of it, he says, can you imagine? At least we have some buddhi. We should not be entering into this kind of a war. How much destruction there will be. The women will lose their piety. The ancestors will not be prayed to. And we will be committing the most grievous of sins if we enter this war. He's telling Sri Krishna all of this throughout the chapter 1. So now what happens? Sri Krishna is at present only his friend, right? In the chapter 1, he says nothing, just half a word, that half a shloka, that, okay, he has brought him in front of these two armies, between the two armies. So when Arjuna drops his Gandiva bow, and then he says that I will not fight, Sri Krishna naturally turns to him, and what does he say? Just like a proper uh, friend, what would he say? He would say, first of all, I want to say, before we go to what Sri Krishna is going to say, is that never give in to despondency. Only the deluded do so. Fight a righteous war to the best of your ability, wherever it is, primarily in the mind, without being attached to the outcome, which is not in your hands. So never be attached to inaction either. So then Sri Krishna, what does Sri Krishna do? If you can turn to shloka number 2, chapter 2, you will read, Kutastvam kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anarya justam asvargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. He says, oh God, he's disgusted with Arjuna. He says, Arjuna, how has this infatuation overtaken you at this odd hour? It is shunned by noble souls. Neither will it bring heaven nor fame to you. Akirti karam Arjuna. So the true Guru does not mince words. He is here to wake you up. Sri Krishna therefore admonishes Arjuna for his ignoble, anarya behavior, as this does not behove of an Arya or a noble one. The Arya is not faint-hearted, and Arjuna is fighting a just war, which is his duty. Swami Ram explains that there are 3 distinct ways of understanding and approaching life. Number 1 is the purely material one, like the Kauravas, who believed only in physical power of their army. The second is Arjuna, who is sensitive and compassionate. But this level of understanding is crippling and paralyzing him at a most inopportune moment. And hence, Sri Krishna will now raise his understanding to the third and ultimate level of understanding of who he truly is and what is truth. Now the third mantra, the third shloka, shloka number 3, is even more powerful than this shloka number 2, in which Sri Krishna continues to say, Klaibhyam masma gamah partha, nai tattvam samupadyate, shudram idaya draurvalyam, tyaktvo tishtha parantapa. Rise, he says, this unmanliness, Klaibhyam, unmanliness. Gama, don't give in to this unmanliness, O son of Parth Prutha, And this does not behove of you. It does not upapadyate befitting of you. This is daurbalyam, this is weakness. Give it up, rise up and fight. So after having said this, Arjuna is not so easily inspired, thank God, because otherwise we would have very little to learn from. And so he continues to lament, and he says that how can I will be committing the sin of killing the guru. I will be committing the sin of killing a Brahmin because Dronacharya was a Brahmin. And I will be killing my own grandfather. I cannot do this. I don't even decide know whether we'll win the war or not. And finally, in shloka number 7, if you will go to that, he says, Karpanya doshopahata svabhavaha pruchhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha yadrutshreyasam panyashiyatam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam pratpannam. Now this is a shloka that we should really contemplate and reflect a little bit. Because he says, with my very being smitten by the vice of faint heartedness, and my mind puzzled with regard to duty, I beseech you, tell me what that which is decidedly good. I am your disciple. Pray, instruct me, who have taken refuge in you. So, what is he saying? And unless this kind of surrender occurs within you, the Guru does not appear. So, actually, the Bhagavad Gita, as such, as a teaching from Sri Krishna, begins only in chapter 2, verse number 11. So, Sri Krishna is now going to tell us what is the right way, what is it that deludes our minds, how is it that we fail at the moment of crisis because of ignorance of who we truly are. So he begins with the highest teaching right at the beginning, and he starts. You can move to verse number 13, in which he says, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptihi dhiras tatra na muyati. He says, just as boyhood, youth, and old age are attributed to the soul through this body, even so, it attains another body. The wise man does not get deluded about this. So, the moment you are born, the moment of your death is a given. You are actually moving towards it. And that's why you can visualize that this body, from that of a toddler, went into that of a youth, to a middle age, to an old age, or whatever age you are, and is slowly decaying and will perish. Like that, he says, the wise man does not lament and does not get deluded. Muyati means deluded by the happenings to the body, because for sure you will get another body. Then he goes on to say, which is what is an important verse to tell us how we should act in this world. And what is that? Dehin, no, Matra Sparshas tu Kaunteya, the 14th one. शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः आगमापायिनो नित्याः सांस्थितिक्षस्व भारत. He says, O son of Kunti, the contacts between the senses and their objects, which give rise to the feelings of heat and cold, pleasure and pain, are but transitory and fleeting. Therefore, Arjuna, endure them. So, what is the meaning of titiksha? Here is something very important that I would like to focus on, because you see, we in this modern life are very prone to instant gratification, instant comfort, instant coffee. Oh, I'm missing my coffee at this moment, but doesn't matter that. So when this instant thing has gotten to us because of media, advertisements, and because of the fast pace of life, this word titiksha doesn't arise anywhere in our vocabulary. And that means forbearance or endurance. Why should one endure? Because everything is fleeting, everything is changing. So, this is what is focused on. And I would like to read this one shloka, which is given in Viveka Chudamani, the text by Shankara, in which he says, Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilapa rahitam satitiksha nigadyate. So, this is the definition of titiksha. What is titiksha? Endurance of all afflictions without countering aids and without anxiety or lament is said to be titiksha. So one has to develop titiksha before one can, cope with many situations in life. And then, of course, the celebrated shloka of shloka number 22 in this particular chapter, where Sri Krishna tells him, Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grunnati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. Just like the as a man shedding his worn out clothes, garments, takes another new one. Likewise, the embodied soul, casting off worn out bodies, enters into others that are new. So we do not see things as they are. That is our problem. We identify ourselves as the body and form attachments to all its relations and then feel anxiety and fear. Attachment to relationships brings about confusion. Sri Krishna now explains to Arjuna, we are not only that which meets the eye, that is only the garment of the eternal divine being within us. And as we do not grieve when we change our external garments, we should not do so when the body is changed as well. So, like that, what is Sri Krishna doing? Sri Krishna is first of all dispelling this great ignorance that is so very fixated in us, that we are this body and we are this mind. We identify so totally with it that whatever then happens to the body and the mind is taken extremely seriously and personally. So, therefore, we first have to disidentify, dissociate from this unfortunate identification before we can continue to understand how to act in life, and before we can continue to understand what is actually karma yoga. So then Sri Krishna tells him, Atha, in shloka number 33 of the same chapter, I have wanted to read it for you because it is going to lead to the celebrated shloka number 47, which is what we are going to focus on from the next time. So he says, Akirti chapi bhutani kathayishyanti te vyayam avyayam sambhavati tiha tasya chakirti kara maranadi tirichate. That means that our people not only will people will pour undying infamy on you, an infamy brought on by a man enjoying popular esteem is worse than death. Even if you come down to the mundane level, it is it will be for you, it will be an extremely sad situation, and that is why you should fight. Second, then he says, Akirti chapi bhutani kathayishyanti te. No, this is the one I have just read for you. Te avyayam sambhavat sambhavatati asya jakirti maranadi rechyate. This is the one I read for you. So for whatever reason, you should be getting up and fighting. How then shall he do that? Okay. So the first thing that Sri Krishna is explaining is that you are not this body, so don't get deluded. Even if you kill them, they are not going to die. They are going to get another body, and if they are not enlightened. So you also will, the same thing is possible. Besides, on the mundane level, you will get ignominy, and people will consider you as a coward, and therefore all your enemies will deride you and gloat over the fact that you ran away from the battlefield. This is worse than death for a man who is enjoying a great popularity and who is an icon. Not only that, you will lead so many down the, those who look up to you, those who are, fond of you, they will get misguided and distracted from, if you take to this kind of an, course of action. So, how should you behave? You should do like this. First, that it is a fleeting matras parshastu kaunteya, therefore you should endure the feeling of delusion, the feeling of confusion, the feeling of anxiety, the feeling of guilt, the feeling of destruction of others, the feeling of sin. You should be able, it will pass. It will pass. So therefore, you should bear it, bear with it. And then, sukha dukhe sami krutva labha labho jaya jayo, verse number 38. Tato yudhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsyasi. Shri Krishna is telling him that treating alike victory and defeat, gain and loss, pleasure and pain, get ready for the battle. Fighting thus, you will not incur any sin. Now, here we'll take a little pause because I want to explain to you what is meant by this will not incur any sin. We, at our level of identification with the body, have got these black and white ideas of good and bad, sin and virtue, and therefore, many times we suffer guilt. Now, this is simply because we don't pause. If we pause, the right action will naturally be guided by your intellect, for which, of course, you should have, first of all, become clear about what is. So, you need a teacher to tell you what is right from what is wrong. And that's what Sri Krishna is doing. Then you must be surrender to that teacher such that whatever he or she says, and I'm not talking of teacher in a bodily sense, the teacher may be the scripture itself, and that is the most reliable because never the scripture is not doing anything for his own glory, its own glory, and therefore you can trust the scripture as yourself. And therefore, when Sri Krishna is telling us that you must treat sukha and dukkha alike, and you must treat gain and loss alike. When you do that, suddenly the pathway becomes clear. This I'm telling you from experience, because then it does not matter. Once you have surrendered the fruit of that action, it does not matter how or what others think of us, and therefore we will take the right action. So, Esha, then we come to this most wonderful verse, which will be the beginning of Karma Yoga. And that is, before that, I will tell you this one shloka because it is not easy to understand Karma Yoga unless you have intellect. We all have intellect, but the right intellect. unless you are taught correctly, that you cannot understand karma yoga. You know, there are a lot of myths about karma yoga. One of them, the first one of them is that, oh, I am doing karma yoga. What are you doing? I am doing my duty. I look after my parents, look after my children, I go to work, I get the pay. This is not karma yoga. Number one, myth. Number two myth is that karma yoga as such will lead to enlightenment. Even if suppose you really knew how to do karma yoga, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So even if you keep on doing punya karma, punya, 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 you will get good results, but you will not get moksha. So you have to understand, first of all, how karma should be undertaken. And this is what Sri Krishna is telling him. Esha teham ihati sankhye buddhya yoge tvimam shrunu. Buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. I have told you all of this. I haven't taken every verse, obviously. But Sri Krishna has spent 38 verses on teaching Arjuna on how he is not the body, he is that pure consciousness. And that is what Samkhya Yoga teaches us. So he says, up till now I've taught you what Samkhya says. Now listen to me. What is buddhi yukta karma yoga, so that you will get rid of this bondage of karma. And then he goes on to explain how that buddhi has to be sharpened to understand what buddhi yoga means. And he comes to that great verse, कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्म फलहेतुर्भूः मा ते संगोऽस्त्वकर्मणि. So this is verse number 47. And if you think that we are going to start karma yoga with this verse, you are right, because this is where Sri Krishna starts to explain what karma yoga actually means. He says your right is to work only and never to the fruit thereof. Do not consider yourself to be the cause of the fruit of action, and nor let your attachment be to inaction. We will be discussing this particular verse much more in detail than just telling you that what the verse means. Karmanye vadhikaraste. Adhikar is what? You have the adhikar, that is the authority or the right over doing action only. You have ma, no. Phaleshu kadachana, not on the fruit thereof ever, at all. Ma karma phela heturbhu, therefore, do not desire for the outcome of the action. And do not be attached to inaction. Sangostva akarmani. So you will say, अरे यार फल तो मिलने ही नहीं वाला है, तो जाने दो, कर्म ही नहीं करते हैं. It doesn't work like that. First of all, you will not be able to do it. But more importantly, the being attached to inaction means being ignorant and being slothful, lazy, and lethargic. That means your tamo guna is at the height. Therefore, you have to do your action, whatever action you are placed in, wherever you are placed in, with the full knowledge that what it doesn't mean you do not have an aim. So the aim of our exercise today is to get knowledge. Whether the teacher or the speaker is going to be good or not is not in your hands. And whether you will learn anything or not is not in your hands. Your aim has to be accurate, that you attend is perfect. You don't sit back and go to sleep, यार उसका कोई result हमें मिलना ही नहीं वाला है, तो हम जाके सुने क्यों? ऐसा तो नहीं कर रहे ना। इसका अर्थ क्या हुआ? इसका अर्थ ये हुआ कि आपके कर्म पे तो आपका अधिकार है, लेकिन उसका फल क्या आएगा, ये इसके ऊपर आपका कोई भी अधिकार नहीं है. I am going to stop here today because I think there is a lot to chew on this, and I would like very much your interaction. I would request my senior students to desist from talking because they are well into understanding quite a few of these concepts. And I would request the newcomers to express themselves one at a time about how they would like this study group, I would prefer to call it, to proceed. Would you like that we do some exercise? I mean, I give you a little homework to take home message, a homework. I give you some notes that you should follow and things like that. And do you like following the verses? Because it's not about karma yoga in general. It's about studying it from the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, I insist, this part I will insist, that you should have a textbook of the Bhagavad Gita and you should follow the verses carefully, because see, we will be going through chapter number 2. We have done a bit. Of course, we'll go through a little bit more. But chapter number 3, 4, and a bit here and there, and a lot in chapter 18. So 2 and 4, 3 and 4, they are titled. Chapter 3 is titled Karma Yoga. So I intend to do most of those verses, and I would like that you pay attention to the verse itself as well, so that you feel you got it from the Sri Krishna's mouth. Only Sri Krishna is here. Believe me, there is no other. So with that, I would love to hear from you.
We have changed the settings so that you all can unmute yourself. You may please do so, and then as Dr. Shirin requested, you can give your views and your comments. Thank you. आप लोग अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर सकते हैं, जिनको भी कुछ इनपुट देना चाहेंगे, कमेंट करना चाहेंगे, प्लीज फील फ्री.
And kindly also let me see you. Remove your, whatever that video. Keep your videos on. Yes. And feel free. We are at home. You are sharing the beautiful atmosphere of the ashram. May all the blessings of Swami Ram be with you. And Swami Veda. It is Swami Veda's ashram we are in. I see Anu. If you like to say something, she's new.
Namaste, Dr. Shirin.
Namaste.
I'm Anupama Goswami, and I'm a disciple of Swami Veda. We met in ashram many times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we met. We attended many things together over there. Like when Swami Veda had taken vow of silence, we were there for 10 days. Yeah. Yeah. So it's so nice hearing you here, and it's like a reminder. We know, sometimes we feel that we know most of the things, but we tend to forget to follow them, right? So I would love to be a part of this group, and you can always give us something to follow for each week.
Yes. Okay.
Always. That
That's.
yeah.
I'll do that. Huh?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's so nice hearing you today. I'm in America right now. It's
Oh
early
wow.
morning
Oh,
in New York.
it is. I think
So
for like 4:30 or something a.m. 5 a.m.
yeah, 5:30 it started. So